everyone, it's Karina Nickerson, and I am here answering the question, how do I know when it's time to recharge my batteries? How do I know when it's time to recharge my batteries? Can you relate to having your batteries being, depleted? And I know for me it shows up as agitation. It shows up as depression. I can feel sort of numbed out and just disconnected. Shows up as anxiety. It shows up for me as feeling like I'm having a hard time letting go of work. When I'm thinking about work all the time, I know it's time to recharge my batteries. So these are some telltale signs, energy feeling low, for me, that it's time for me to do the first thing that's important for me in recharging my batteries, which is to unplug. So I will literally take at least one day a week where I am off of technology. And I wonder if you have something similar, especially if you're a highly sensitive person like I am. It's really important that we take care of our nervous systems. And if we don't take care of our nervous systems, it'll catch up with us for sure. And usually at a time when, it doesn't work very well for you, right? Meaning for me, sometimes this has hit me when I'm in a push to complete something in my work, for example. And if I haven't taken care to keep my batteries charged and to stay filled, right, I can lose traction and momentum during the times when I really need to have the most endurance. So unplugging from technology, really, really, really good for me. And if you haven't tried it yet, I highly suggest that you do so. If it's hard for you to do that, then even more reason why you need to. Because anytime you're hitched to something outside of you, if you need something externally to be okay, you're really not deeply okay. You know what I mean? And so just taking a look at your relationship to technology, and if it's hard for you to disconnect, asking yourself the question, why? What would I have to feel if I was off of technology? Because often we use technology as a way to avoid feelings. So that's the second thing I do when it's time for me to recharge my batteries, is to feel my feelings. So I'll unplug from technology, but I'll also sit in meditation and take long breaks of silence, just sitting on my couch in the living room, watching the trees outside, breathing, being with what's coming up, being with my heart, being with my emotions. And, sometimes it's quite stormy, and I need to have a good cry, or I need to express myself and my feelings and what's happening for me in my journal. So I'll do sort of those kinds of things to emotionally process when I take these times off, when it's time for me to recharge my batteries. Because when I'm going and going and going, and this is true for you too, you're not feeling. You're not really connected to this. And to check into your heart, really simple. This is how I started, and this is what I have my clients do, is, a few times a day, just start with one time a day. Ask yourself, how am I feeling? And look at a list of emotions. That's usually how we start, because our emotional toolkit, isn't that great. We don't have a lot of access even to words to describe our emotions, is what I find. A lot of times people aren't able to talk about feeling much more than anxious. But you have many, many more feelings. And if you let yourself just feel them by acknowledging them, then your batteries will stay more charged. You won't need as much energy in emotional repression. So that's another piece. Feel your feels, feel your feelings. And in order to do that without getting overwhelmed and lost in the storm of what can be very stormy emotions, I'm going to harken back to another video that I've made in this series, which talks about meditation. So meditation is a great tool that we can use to learn to unhook not only from thinking, but also from emotions. We don't unhook from feeling emotions. We unhook from the narrative that we have about the emotions, because we're not feeling them because at some point in our life we believed that it meant something bad about us. Like it's not okay to be angry, for example, or it's not okay to be sad, or it's not okay to be lazy. It's not okay. There's so many emotions that we have aversion to, but they're often there, and they may even be running the show and we don't know it because we're emotionally like we could use a little bit of an emotional tune-up, so to speak. So that's something else that I'll do when it's time for me to recharge my batteries. Another thing, and I'll have this be the last thing during those times when I'm recharging my batteries, is I disconnect as much as I can from talking. And I find it to be really important to spend some time in silence. So I'll retreat every 3 months. And I'll retreat to a place where silence is upheld, either at a meditation retreat center or a hermitage or a monastery or something like that. That's what I love to do, to go on a retreat. You can do, something different, but I would encourage you to take silence. Explore, see what it's like to go several days without talking. So much energy is leaked in our dialogue and our conversations. This is true. You mean like all the talking that we do just to avoid the awkwardness of being together in silence? It's like crazy town, because when we really feel into how much energy it takes to keep that up, I don't know, maybe we would do it less. I certainly know I do it less, knowing the toll that just fluffy surface conversation there's no point to it. The toll that it can take on me and my energy levels. So those are some things that I do to recharge my batteries, and the ways that I know that I need to do that is just how I'm feeling. And I outline some of those symptoms of being, needing some of that recharge time a little bit earlier in this video. I hope this serves you, and I encourage you to practice one of these things that I shared with you today, if you are feeling like it's time for a recharge. I'm sending you so much love and many blessings. Be well.